Have you ever felt it? That moment when you realize you've become the very thing you swore you'd never be? You're standing in the wreckage of a choice you made, not in some distant past, but moments ago, and the weight of it is suffocating. Your hands are shaking, your mind is racing, and the worst part? Everyone who mattered saw it happen. This isn't about making a small mistake. This is about the kind of failure that rewires your identity, the kind that makes you question if you're actually a good person at all, or if everything you believed about yourself was just a comfortable lie you told yourself when things were easy. Maybe it was a betrayal. Maybe you said something cruel to someone you love, and you watched their face change in real time. Maybe you abandoned someone when they needed you most, and now you're haunted by the image of them looking for you in the crowd and you weren't there. Or maybe it was a moment of pure cowardice, when you had the chance to stand up for what's right, and instead you stayed silent, invisible, safe, and now that silence is screaming inside your head. The psychological weight of this kind of shame is unlike anything else. It's not just guilt. Guilt is about what you did. This is about who you think you've become, and that's infinitely worse, because guilt can fade with an apology or time. But shame? Shame tells you that you are fundamentally broken, that your worst moment isn't a mistake, it's the truth about who you really are. You lie awake at night replaying it. You imagine conversations where you finally explain yourself, where they finally understand. But you know they never will, and maybe they shouldn't, because part of you believes you deserve to carry this weight forever, that this is your punishment, that this is who you are now. But what if I told you that one of the most powerful men in history, a man who literally changed the course of civilization, experienced this exact same psychological devastation? And what if I told you that his story contains a hidden truth about forgiveness and identity that doesn't erase your past, but actually goes into the deepest, darkest place of your shame and rebuilds you from the inside out? His name was Simon, just Simon, a simple fisherman with a simple name. But Jesus saw something in him that he couldn't see in himself. And in that moment of divine recognition, Jesus did something radical. He didn't just give him a new title or a promotion. He gave him a new name. He called him Cephas, which in Aramaic means rock or stone. In Greek, we know it as Peter. But here's the secret that changes everything. The rock wasn't Simon himself. The rock was the confession of faith that would pour out of his mouth. When Jesus asked, "Who do you say that I am?" Simon answered with words that would echo through eternity. "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." In that moment, Simon wasn't speaking from his own strength or his own understanding. He was speaking from a revelation that only God could give. And Jesus looked at him and said, "On this rock, on this confession of faith, on this truth about who I am, I will build my church." The transformation didn't happen because Simon was strong. It happened because he encountered Jesus. It happened because he spoke a truth so profound that it would become the foundation of everything. But here's what nobody tells you. That same man who made that glorious confession would, just chapters later, deny even knowing Jesus 3 times in front of a servant girl while Jesus was being arrested. The man who was supposed to be the rock crumbled into dust. And that's where our story truly begins. Picture this: Jerusalem, 33 AD. The city is electric with tension. Rumors have been spreading for 3 years about a carpenter's son from Galilee who heals the sick, feeds the hungry, and speaks with an authority that makes the religious establishment absolutely furious. His name is Jesus, and he's about to be arrested. Simon Peter is there. He's been following Jesus for years now. He's seen miracles that defied every law of nature. He's watched Jesus calm storms with a word, multiply bread from nothing, and raise the dead. But more than that, he's experienced something deeper. He's felt the presence of God in a way that transformed him from a simple fisherman into a man with a purpose. He was renamed Cephas, the rock, because of that unshakable confession of faith he made. But here's the thing about being renamed by God. It doesn't erase your humanity. It doesn't remove your fear. It doesn't make you immune to panic. The night of Jesus' arrest, everything Peter believed about himself is about to be tested in the most brutal way possible. Jesus has just finished his last meal with his disciples. The moment is sacred. The air is heavy with something Peter doesn't yet understand. And then Jesus says something that should have been a warning, something so specific, so personal, that it cuts through all of Peter's confidence like a blade. Jesus looks directly at Peter and says, "Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren." Let that sink in for a moment. Jesus isn't speaking in vague generalities. He's speaking directly to Peter. He's saying, "Simon, Satan has asked for you. Satan wants you. He wants to sift you like wheat, to shake you, to break you, to separate the chaff from the grain. But I have prayed for you. I have prayed that your faith will not fail."
And then, as if that warning wasn't enough, Jesus adds something even more specific, something that Peter, in his arrogance, completely dismisses. "And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death. And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the rooster shall not crow this day before that thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me." Before the rooster crows, 3 times you will deny me. It's almost incomprehensible in its specificity. Jesus isn't saying you might stumble. He's not saying you might be tempted. He's saying, before the sun rises tomorrow, before the rooster crows, you will deny knowing me. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And what does Peter do? He responds with the kind of confidence that only comes from someone who has absolutely no idea what they're about to face. He says, "Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death." It's almost tragic in its innocence. Peter genuinely believes he's strong enough. He genuinely believes his faith is unshakable. He genuinely believes that when the moment comes, he'll stand with Jesus no matter what. He's the rock, after all. Rocks don't crumble. Rocks don't break. Rocks don't run away. Rocks don't deny their master. But Jesus has already told him. The warning has been given, the prayer has been prayed, and the test is about to begin. The arrest happens in the Garden of Gethsemane. Soldiers arrive with swords and clubs. Torches light up the darkness. And in that moment of absolute chaos, Peter does what Peter always does. He acts without thinking. He draws a sword and strikes the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. It's an act of loyalty, yes, but it's also an act of desperation. It's the action of a man who realizes that everything is collapsing, and he's trying to hold it together with violence. Jesus stops him immediately. "Put your sword back in its place," he says, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword." And then he does something extraordinary. He heals the servant's ear. Even in his moment of arrest, even when his own life is hanging in the balance, Jesus is still showing mercy. He's still demonstrating the kingdom of God. And then he's taken away. The disciples scatter, they run, they hide. And Peter, the rock, the one who swore he would die with Jesus, Peter follows at a distance, trying to figure out what's happening, trying to process the unthinkable. He ends up in the courtyard of the high priest's house, where Jesus is being interrogated. It's cold. There's a charcoal fire burning, a detail so small that most people miss it entirely. Peter is trying to blend in, trying to stay invisible. He's hoping that if he just stays quiet, if he just doesn't draw attention to himself, maybe he can survive this night. Maybe he can protect himself. But then it happens. A servant girl notices him. She looks at him and says something simple, something that should be easy to deny. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee." And Peter's world collapses. He denies it. He says, "I don't know what you're talking about." He walks away, trying to disappear into the crowd.
But then another servant girl sees him. "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth," she says to those standing nearby. And Peter denies it again. "I don't know the man," he says, this time with an oath. He's getting desperate now. He's not just denying, he's swearing. He's calling down curses on himself if he's lying. He's doing everything he can to convince them that he has nothing to do with Jesus. But then, a third time, people come up to him. "Surely you are one of them, for your accent gives you away," they say. Peter is from Galilee. His accent, his manner of speaking, everything about him screams that he's one of Jesus' followers. And then, the moment Jesus predicted, the moment that should have been impossible, the moment that Peter swore would never happen. Immediately, a rooster crowed. And Peter remembers. He remembers Jesus' words. "Before the rooster shall crow, thou shalt deny me thrice." The prophecy has been fulfilled, not because Peter was weak, not because he didn't love Jesus, but because he was human, because he was afraid, because in the moment when it mattered most, when everything was on the line, Peter chose survival over sacrifice, and the weight of that realization crushes him. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, "Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice." And he went out and wept bitterly. He goes outside. He's alone now, and he weeps. Not the kind of tears that come from sadness or regret, but the kind of tears that come from the complete and utter destruction of your identity. Peter had been renamed the Rock. Peter had made that glorious confession of faith. Peter had sworn he would die with Jesus, and now Peter had denied even knowing him. The rock had crumbled into dust. But here's what the religious leaders of Jesus' time didn't understand. Here's what Satan himself didn't understand. Shame is only permanent if you believe you're beyond redemption. And Peter was about to discover that he wasn't.
3 days pass. Jesus is dead. He's been crucified, buried in a tomb, and the disciples are hiding in fear, convinced that everything is over. The movement has collapsed. The dream has died. And Peter is carrying the weight of his denial like a stone around his neck. He's not just grieving the loss of his master, he's grieving the loss of who he thought he was. But then something happens that changes everything. Jesus rises from the dead, and the first thing he does, the very first thing, is seek out Peter, not to condemn him, not to remind him of his failure, but to restore him. In John chapter 21, we find one of the most beautiful and devastating scenes in all of Scripture. Jesus appears to the disciples by the Sea of Galilee. They've been fishing, trying to return to their old lives, trying to forget. And Jesus is there on the shore, and he's prepared a meal. There's a charcoal fire burning, the same kind of fire that was burning in the courtyard where Peter denied him. And Jesus calls Peter out specifically. 3 times, Jesus asks Peter the same question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And 3 times, Peter answers, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." 3 denials, 3 affirmations. The symmetry is not accidental. Jesus is systematically undoing the damage. He's not erasing Peter's failure, he's transforming it. He's taking the very wound that defined Peter and using it as the foundation for his restoration. And then Jesus says something that echoes through the centuries. "Feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, feed my sheep." Jesus is giving Peter a new purpose. He's not just forgiving him, he's commissioning him. He's saying, your failure doesn't disqualify you. Your shame doesn't make you worthless. In fact, because you've experienced the depths of human weakness, because you've felt the crushing weight of your own cowardice, you are now uniquely qualified to shepherd my people. This is the secret that transforms everything. This is the hidden truth about redemption that most people miss. God doesn't restore you despite your failure. God restores you through your failure.
Your worst moment isn't the end of your story. It's the breaking point that makes transformation possible. The rock that crumbled into dust becomes the foundation upon which everything is rebuilt. And Peter understood this. After his restoration, Peter became exactly what Jesus said he would be. He became the rock, not because he was strong, not because he was perfect, but because he had been broken, and in his brokenness, he had encountered the mercy of God. He had experienced forgiveness so complete, so radical, that it rewired his entire identity. Peter went on to lead the early church. He performed miracles. He preached with boldness. He faced persecution without fear. And when he was finally arrested and executed, crucified upside down because he didn't consider himself worthy to die the same way Jesus did, he went to his death with joy, not terror.
The man who once denied knowing Jesus in front of a servant girl now proclaimed his faith in front of emperors and executioners. The man who once chose survival over sacrifice now chose death over denial. The man who was defined by his shame became a beacon of hope for millions. But here's the thing you need to understand about your own story. You are not different from Peter. You are not exempt from this same transformation. The same Jesus who restored Peter is offering you the same restoration. The same mercy that broke through Peter's shame is available to you right now. You've made mistakes. You've failed people you love. You've been a coward when you needed to be brave. You've chosen comfort over conviction. And you're carrying that weight, convinced that it defines you forever. But it doesn't. That's not the end of your story. That's the beginning of it. The charcoal fire is still burning. Jesus is still there, and he's waiting for your answer. So here's the question that matters right now, in this moment. What charcoal fire are you standing by? What shame are you carrying that you believe defines you forever? What failure are you using as evidence that you're fundamentally broken? What moment of cowardice are you replaying in your mind, convinced that it's the truth about who you are? Because I want you to understand something with absolute clarity. That moment doesn't define you. Your worst choice doesn't determine your destiny. Your deepest shame isn't your final chapter. Jesus didn't restore Peter despite his failure. He restored Peter through his failure. And the same restoration is available to you. Not because you deserve it, not because you've earned it, but because the same God who saw something in a broken fisherman named Simon sees something in you too. He sees past your shame. He sees past your fear. He sees past your cowardice. And he's asking you the same question he asked Peter. Do you love me? Because if you do, if you're willing to surrender the weight of your shame, if you're willing to let go of the identity you've built around your failure, if you're willing to believe that your worst moment isn't your end, but your beginning, then you can become unbreakable too. The charcoal fire is still burning. Jesus is still there, and he's waiting for your answer. But here's what I know. Most people won't take this seriously. Most people will watch this video, feel the emotion, and then go back to their lives carrying the same weight they carried before. They'll convince themselves that redemption is for other people, that transformation is for people who are stronger, smarter, more worthy than they are. And they'll be wrong. Because the secret of Peter's transformation wasn't his strength. It was his willingness to be broken. It was his willingness to admit that he couldn't save himself. It was his willingness to encounter the mercy of God and let it rewire his entire identity. And that's available to you right now, not tomorrow, not when you've fixed yourself, not when you've proven yourself worthy, right now, in this moment, with all your shame, all your failure, all your brokenness. Jesus is asking, do you love me? Your answer changes everything. If you felt something in this story, if something shifted inside you when you heard about Peter's restoration, if you felt even a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, your shame doesn't have to be permanent, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Because we dive deep into the forgotten details of Scripture.
We uncover the hidden truths that the religious establishment doesn't want you to know. We show you how the ancient stories of the Bible hold the exact answers to your modern problems. And we do it with honesty, with depth, and with the kind of storytelling that doesn't just inform your mind, it transforms your soul. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and share this video with someone who needs to hear that their shame doesn't define them. Because somewhere out there, someone is standing by a charcoal fire, weeping in the dark, convinced that they're beyond redemption. And they need to know that they're not. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Welcome to Beyond the Bible Verses. There is more to the scriptures than what you've been told.